now is good.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our December forum. My name is Sarah Chartier, and I'm the Senior Sustainability Project Manager at Spectrum Health and the President of the West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum Board of Directors. First, thank you so much for joining us virtually today. Throughout 2020, the forum's been adjusting to the changing circumstances and adapting to the online world. This forum serves as our return to our regularly scheduled West Michigan monthly forums and networking events. And kudos to the forum team for being flexible throughout the pandemic. We will continue to host these monthly forums on the second Monday of each month going forward, virtual or otherwise, as the circumstances allow. Before we get officially underway, a few updates and housekeeping items. If you're not familiar with our organization, the West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum promotes business practices that demonstrate environmental stewardship, economic vitality, social responsibility through education and collaboration. Membership dues fund the vast majority of the forum's activities, including today's events. If you're not yet a member, we'd like you to consider becoming one. Now is the best time to do so. Please talk to the Executive Director, Dan Scudermaker, or Membership Manager, Rose Spickler, via email to get more information. But for those of you that are members, please keep an eye out for your 2021 membership invoices coming soon. And at this moment, I'd like to celebrate and recognize our new and recently joined members. Taste the Local Difference Michigan, RRS Recycling, DTE Energy, Anunio Solutions, Outdoor Discovery Center Network, Finite Phoenix, Innovadius Solar, Tradion, Batteries and Battery Solutions. We also have an individual membership also have an individual professional and student membership option and invite you to join in that capacity as well. A couple other housekeeping items. The forum has a number of working groups that you can get involved in if you're interested in more specific programming within the sustainability world. Some of our upcoming work groups include our Sustainable Events Task Force on December 15th, Climate Leadership Working Group on December 17th, and Campus Sustainability Collective on December 18th. If you're interested in participating in any of these meetings or in our other working groups, please contact us. If you're not a member of the forum, your receipt will be emailed to you within the next few days. Upcoming events include our next forum monthly meeting will be held after the holidays on January 11th. We'll also be having a Lakeshore Focus Forum event on January 28th that will focus on the energy and climate and utilities servicing Grand Haven. Please check out all of our events at our website, WMSBF.org, or keep an eye out for our newsletter and email invites. If you're not currently on our newsletter email list, please subscribe online on our website. Before we begin our panel today, focus on circular economy in West Michigan, we'd like to honor one of our members with the Sustainable Business Hall of Fame Award. The Sustainable Business Hall of Fame is a Lifetime Achievement Award that recognizes extraordinary contributions to the growth of the sustainable business in West Michigan over the course of their career. This award was announced at the West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum Triple Bottom Line Bash, but unfortunately our honoree was unable to attend. Today, I'd like to welcome Kerrin O'Brien, Executive Director of the West Michigan Recycling Coalition, to present this award. Kerrin, please do the honors.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here. My name is Kerrin O'Brien. I am the Executive Director of the Michigan Recycling Coalition and have had the great honor of working with Bill Gurn for a number of years, and am very honored to be able to talk about Bill with you all. My history with Bill Gurn goes back quite a long way. I've been with the Michigan Recycling Coalition, which is a statewide coalition who really advocates for recycling issues on a statewide level. And I've kind of come in and out of the organization. And when I came back to the organization in 2008, Bill Gurn was on the board of directors and very quickly stepped up into a leadership role. And he stayed in that leadership role for the next 12 years. And so Bill and I got the opportunity to work hand in hand to bring the Michigan Recycling Coalition out of poverty, out of I think a lack of real vision and budget, to a place of real influence and prominence in Michigan as far as recycling goals. Bill was a leader for our organization, in that I believe once I was rehired, he and I shared a vision of what the Michigan Recycling Coalition should be. He was one of my confidants, one of my most important confidants, and he really basically worked with my board to allow me to do what I thought was most important for the organization. And so, maybe the opportunities that he gave me to lead was very parallel to the opportunity that he took to turn for Haworth the waste expenses into real assets for his organization. And I know that Haworth was probably here and will be talking about what Bill was able to accomplish there, but waste used to be a cost for that organization, and he turned it into a moneymaker. I think that the work Bill has done with Haworth had really made him a visionary in this recycling world. And he applied that vision to the Michigan Recycling Coalition, and over the course of his leadership, we really turned the organization around. The Michigan Recycling Coalition led an effort that he started back in his day to bring funding to recycling for the first time ever in the state of Michigan back in 2018. I am more than pleased to see Bill Gurn on this call today, because Bill had a close brush with his maker about a year and a half ago, I think, and it warms my heart to see him here today. He's been fishing. Hopefully he's enjoying the fruits of his labor in retirement. And I would not be where I am today without Bill's mentorship and support. And I know there are other people like me out there, because he helps everybody he touches. So without further ado, I want to introduce Bill Gurn, who is the most auspicious honoree I can imagine in our field in Michigan today.
I guess it's my turn, huh, Kerrin?
Yes, go Bill.
Thanks, Kerrin, for being part of this. I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed working with you and the Michigan Recycling Coalition. But first, I'd like to thank the West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum for the recognition. It's not just something that I did, but it's something that Haworth did, and we couldn't have done it without the help of Kerrin O'Brien from the MRC, Bill Stow from the Sustainable Business Research Group, Tom Perkins from Ananeo Solutions, the Padnoses, both Doug Padnos and Mitch Padnos, and many others. But they were a great influence in our ability to recycle at Haworth. So give you a little history. When we built our first our new facility in Holland in 1980, we recycled, but no different than anybody else in the business. We did the easy stuff, metal, steel, and aluminum, baled cardboard, but that was about it. But in 1992, Dick Haworth had the vision of us making a different footprint on the saving the environment and being more efficient, and allowed us to build a 19,000 square foot recycle center. We set up champions to work in our plants, and at that time we had plants in Michigan, the Carolinas, and Mississippi. So we built a recycle center and opened it up in January of 1992. And we recycled about 80% of our material in the beginning, in the early years. Problems with wood recycling in the furniture business, and powder coat paint was a problem. but we did about 10 million pounds a year in the first few years of our operation. But in the early 2000s, we had found ways to work with our vendors and became landfill free. Not to say that wasn't a challenge to find a home for everything and not send anything to a landfill, but in 2008, the recession came along and we had difficulties recycling everything with places with losing places for powder to go, for one thing. And we had made a commitment early in the 2000s to be landfill free. So when we lost some of our markets, especially the powder market, we didn't know what to do. So we decided that we couldn't renege on our landfill free. We stored powder. I rented a warehouse across the street, and we proceeded to put semi-loads by semi-loads in across the street until we could find a new home for the powder to go. And when we finished and we found a place for it to recycle, I had 27 semi-loads of powder to recycle. So the commitment's been a tough one, but we were committed to being landfill free. In 2009, we're recycling 40 million pounds of powder and have been doing that for consistently since then. So our recycling efforts are stringent, tough at times, but I think the one thing that we had going for us is that we were such a size that allowed us to market some product, but we paid dearly to recycle others. Wood recycling is a tough commodity to recycle. We started off in the early years of recycling wood waste at about $11 a ton. And today it's over $50 a ton. So we could save money if we actually landfilled it, but we're landfill free. So I think some highlights over my 40 years with Haworth. One was in 2012, we hosted a green manufacturing conference for the Green Manufacturing Magazine organization, and had attendees from all over the country come to Haworth to listen to what we've done and other folks have done in the recycling world. I was fortunate enough to be on the cover of their magazine in 2013. Another highlight of my life was to chair the MRC, and Kerrin already elaborated on that. I think the biggest accomplishment that I can see, though, is that we as a group at Haworth led Haworth to be the first and only furniture manufacturer to be landfill free. And I think that was a great accomplishment. So with that, I don't have much else to say, I guess.
Thank you, Bill, and congratulations again. You got a couple notes in the chat, so others feel free to chime in and wish your congratulations in this new way of celebrating, and really grateful for all that you provided to West Michigan, Bill, and all that you've provided to us, all that you've done in your career. So thank you and congratulations. At this time, I'd like to present the Executive Director, Daniel Scudermaker, who will introduce our panel for today. And over to you, Dan.
Thanks a lot, Sarah, and it's my pleasure to be back at our first somewhat traditional forum in quite a while. And fun fact, our last regular forum before I moved into our COVID era webinar programming was a circular economy program that featured our friends from Panelists at Aquinas College all the way back in March. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion today. As folks may know, creating a circular economy in West Michigan is one of the defining strategic objectives of our organization, and I'm looking forward to a great discussion here. Now I'd like to introduce and turn over the first of our the first of our panelists, Dominic Daunter, the Director of Global Design, Innovation, and Sustainability for Haworth. Dominic?
Thanks, Daniel. So let me share my screen. So while I'm doing that, first let me congratulate Bill. Bill, you have been a legend and a key member here at Haworth and helping deliver some of the accomplishments that you mentioned, right? So zero waste to landfill, you know, we delivered in 2012 and we continue to maintain that, and you played a key role in that and many other initiatives. So it's a well-deserved award. We're very excited for you and, you know, wish you happiness and health in retirement. And to everyone on the phone, I wish everyone a happy holidays. Hope everyone has safe and healthy holidays as we go through this, you know, interesting time. So as Daniel mentioned, I'm the Global Design, Innovation, and Sustainability Director. I have the privilege of leading sustainability. I'm going to talk a little bit about circular design here at Haworth. And we'll talk a little bit about the design process and then some of the barriers that we've encountered, you know, over the last few years. As many of you know, Haworth is very loyal to our roots, right? We're very committed to the West Michigan area and the areas that we have facilities at. But we have very global ambitions, right? We're a global organization and we sell products all over the world. You know, with that in mind, you know, on this 20+ year journey that we've been on related to, you know, being a sustainable corporation, about a year ago, we had 65 of our global leaders here at headquarters to have a workshop on, you know, what do we want our 2025, you know, long-term commitments related to being a responsible corporation to be. And of course, those aligned with 3 primary pillars: people and community, circular economy, and operational performance. And today we'll spend a little bit of time just talking about that circular economy element. So, you know, within circular economy, we kind of broke it into 3 buckets, right? Circular design. We want 100% of our new products to honor our circular design principles, which are really focused on optimizing resource utilization and minimizing waste. And we've developed a bunch of tools and education and training worksheets and so forth, which I'll talk about in a minute to help deliver that. Circular services program, right? That's focused on maximizing resource value. We want to partner with our customers and finding sustainable solutions for used furniture, right? It's really about life extension. We can't have our products go into the landfill. Otherwise, we've completely failed, you know, to a certain extent. So we have to do better at being able to repair, refurbish, reuse, recycle, or remanufacture the product. And then, of course, this opens up all types of new opportunities for business models, right? Product as a service or workspace as a service. And we've actually launched a few programs and we continue to evolve, you know, what we're trying to do there. So our circular design strategy, right? It's the development of methods and tools that enable the design of products that are used more than once, right? So it's life extension. And we must help ensure that we as an organization understand the environmental impacts of our creations, right? All of these circular design considerations. How do we help ensure that our development community and that our executive leadership team understand the impact their and our decisions have on the environment? So they just mentioned, you know, we've developed a lot of tools and a lot of targets to help elevate the knowledge, experience, and expertise of our development community, and to help make sure they understand the impact of their decisions. So this is a worksheet that really talks about the different trade-offs for a seeding project, and it kind of breaks it down into a good, better, best strategy. And it can be everything related to maybe what the assembly method is, what the materials are, what the delivery, what the logistics look like, to really understand, you know, what the overall impact of the product will be. And we've implemented this into our new product development process to help ensure that the teams are accounting for this at every step of the design process. So, you know, strategy, ideation, design, development, and so forth. And we've implemented accountability, governance, and scorecards at every of those stages to help ensure that we don't miss any targets. A big part of this is really the education and training of the community, right? Not everyone is a sustainability expert. And so, we have engineering folks that are great at designing mechanisms, but they don't necessarily understand all the impact their decisions have on, the overall viability and environmental friendliness of a task seeding solution. So we're on this journey of education and training for our development community. I'd say one of the exciting areas is all the cool things happening in materials, right? So we just launched a new line of fabrics that are oceanic, which are really discarded marine debris and other post-consumer waste collected through the SQL initiative. And it's beautiful, sustainable, and responsibly sourced fabric. We've got digital knits, so it enables some new capabilities from a refurbishment perspective. We've got clean chemistry, lots and lots of banned chemicals, and compostable work surfaces. Bill played a big role in this back in the day, and this is an important part of being able to recycle materials. The use period of products is, extended and or intensified relationship in the slowdown of the flow of resources as it reduces the total need of products, right? So we need to be very thoughtful about keeping our products and resources at the highest value for as long as possible. We have a variety of brands. Some of our Italian brands, their products are iconic and have an 80 to 100-year life. They get passed down from generation to generation in families. And then we have other products that have, a 3 to 5 to maybe 8-year life. And so how do we extend those products to have, that extended life cycle? So the demand on resources and the total need of products is reduced. Closing the loop, it means moving from traditional design, the make, use, dispose methodology to, how do we dispose, what is the disposal stage to feed back in the creation of the new product, right? So how do we take materials back? How do we minimize the demand for new resources? So how do we account for it, from an assembly perspective, from a separation perspective, and choosing materials that after their initial use, we have a recyclability aspect to it. But then probably one of the biggest challenges we're having are, a variety of things listed here, and I'm going to focus on one of them. It's really global supply chain. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we have, we're very loyal to our roots, but we have that global ambition. And as we look at different, sustainable solutions, whether it's materials, whether it's suppliers, we make task chairs in multiple locations around the world. So something we can get in one sector, we can't get in another. So it can, in some cases, hurt us in the long run to leverage sustainable solutions when we have to design multiple versions of the product and maintain multiple, bills of materials and, understand where a customer might get product shipped from and how the declare label and all the other, environmental impacts are for that customer and how we would report out to them. So that's really been one of our big struggles, global supply chain. Of course, some of the other bullets here is tools and technology for quantifying circularity. We are learning as fast as the industry on, how to measure the impact of our decisions and what that means to an organization. Embodied carbon is a big one for us right now. We're very focused on understanding and learning that. And there really isn't a clearly defined standard for furniture. So we're kind of learning from different organizations and, evolving with it. And then, the business model evolution. We have to get in place the end of life programs that will help us ensure that the products don't go to the landfill, that they have second lives and third lives. As we, continue to build products that have a longer life, we still need to account for how they can be repurposed, after a customer is done with them the first time. And that's especially important as we get into these, new business models like product as a service or workspace as a service, because that will probably result in shorter lives with our customers, right? So it'd be like leasing a vehicle, and typically leasing, it's 2 and 3 year leases, and then they, have their second and third lives. And we need to do something similar with furniture. So I think that's about all I have there. Daniel, back to you for any questions or thoughts, or is that all for the end?
we're gonna hold questions to the end, Dominic, but I'm gonna
Perfect.
invite people to please drop their questions in the chat at this time as well. And at this point, I'm gonna introduce Matthew Flechter, Recycling Market Development Specialist for the Michigan Department of Energy, Great Lakes and Energy.
Yeah, it is a mouthful there. Environment, Great Lakes, and energy. Thanks,
I think
Dan.
I said energy the first time by accident.
Lots of energy, for sure. No problem.
We got
really,
lots of energy, Matt.
lots of energy here. Thanks, Dan. Before I start, I want to say a couple words about Bill. So you don't know this, Bill, but I would say that you were have been an important mentor to me to learn about how it is to chair an organization, and you did it in a way with so little drama and just even-handed, even-keeled, just a cool cucumber all the time. I think if you ever, I bet any organization would love you to be chair, because the way that you handled difficult situations, I learned a lot from you. So thanks for teaching me.
Excellent.
And Dan, I want to say something about West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum. The work that you do is so important because we've got some real opportunities here in Michigan. And the fact that you and Kerrin O'Brien on this call know the importance of using your voice and saying and bringing the important issues to decision makers, legislators, and others to make sure that we can continue to do the good work that we need to do to create circular economy in Michigan. So the work that you do is really appreciated. So I wanted to say that. Is there a way that, could I share my screen? Is that, could I do that with the slides that I have? Would that work?
You can, Matt. They'll just take me 1 second. I didn't realize that you were.
I don't have to use slides. I could just talk from notes real quick if that's a challenge.
Nope. I got you.
Okay. Let's see. Let me go scroll. I got so many windows open. My gosh, how's this computer even working? So maybe it's going to be on my end if I can't find my slides. There we go. I'm going to flip through these. And so let me know if you're seeing these slides.
We are, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, that's great. Perfect. So I want to talk to you briefly about what we're up to, and I'm going to do this pretty quick. How many minutes do I have, Dan? Oh, you're muted. I'm just going to talk about
7
it.
to 10, Matt. 7 to 10.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So 3 key elements that we are working on at Eagle: education, infrastructure, and markets. Without education, without people knowing how, why, and where to recycle, you're not going to have a circular economy. Without the infrastructure, the places for it to go, the collection, the processing, the transportation, and end use, you're not going to be able to move those materials into new markets. And obviously, without markets, a place for it to go, it's not going anywhere. It's not going to be turned into a new product. So those are the 3 things that we're working on. First, education. You've seen our recycling raccoons. That's launched again. It was on a temporary pause. Raccoons went on vacation for a little bit during COVID, but they're back now. We've got a partnership with the recycling partnership. We recognized very early on that quality was key. And if we didn't have quality materials, then markets would be challenging. Dana already tweeted, chatted the circular economy Michigan Materials Marketplace. So check that out if you have materials or you're looking for materials. And most excitingly, the NextCycle Michigan platform. So what that is we recognized early on that with the funding that came through Renew, and thank you all for your efforts. Many of you on this call work to ensure that we have funding in Michigan that we can use to leverage additional funding, bring in partners, look at technological innovation, grow markets, and get that infrastructure in place. We recognize that some businesses and organizations needed additional work. So what this is an accelerator and an incubator to grow those businesses. There's more information. I want to invite you all to the to the event tomorrow. I just lost my notes here. They're not showing up. So I'll chat the link to that in just a second when I'm done talking, which will dive into a lot more detail about what this is. This is just a quick overview. But we recognize in Michigan, using data, gathering information, some of that coming from West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum in an early on grant to look at the lost potential of materials, the economic potential. Recognize that there's 6.8 million tons of opportunity being wasted, and there's about $33 billion worth of economic input that could be found if we increase our recycling rate to 45%. So what is NextCycle Michigan? It is all about creating a circular economy through innovation challenges and also leveraging additional dollars. We recognize in Michigan that with the grant funding that we have and the legislative appropriation, we know that we need about $200 million to really lift move the needle on recycling, and we're getting about $15 million a year. So how do we do that quickly? We use those dollars to bring in and attract additional funding. So that's the Renewed Partnership Portal. Many of you on this call have sustainability goals. You are working to grow that circular economy, like we heard from Haworth. And how can we work together to bring the investments to Michigan so that you have the markets, the education, and infrastructure that are necessary to be successful? And the innovation challenges, those are tracks that are specific to materials that we're bringing teams together and working through a process to get them the technical assistance, the funding support needed to make their ideas flourish. And one thing that I'm most excited about with NextCycle Michigan is it enables us to talk about the issues that are important today: climate and equity. So what we've done is analyzed, working with Resource Recycling Systems and our other partners, analyze what is the climate potential of that growth, as well as the equity potential, identifying real opportunities to grow, create jobs, grow the economy for all Michigan residents. So watch for these coming down the conveyor. We've got the infrastructure, market development, RFP. We've got the NextCycle track launches. We're continuing to make that connection between recycling and climate and equity. Expanded local education opportunities and funding opportunities there, and then obviously the funding opportunities coming through NextCycle. So I think I did that in 7 minutes. I didn't check the clock, but there's my quick update.
Thank you, Matt. And again, we're going to hold questions until the end. But if you'd like to express some questions to Matt in the chat, please feel free to do so. And now I'd like to turn it over to back to Kerrin, who's gonna share a quick update on the work of the MRC and the how in the current state of recycling and policy in Michigan.
Thanks a lot. I appreciated hearing both Matt's presentation and Haworth's presentation. Happy that Bill's been recognized for all of his work. I don't really have any slides, but I wanted to share with you kind of my thoughts about the development of recycling in Michigan over the past few years. Really, many of the professionals that have been working in this field for the past 10 years have been really working on developing the opportunities here in Michigan. And those we can see, I think, in kind of 3 buckets. One is that we were focused on getting funding for these issues. Recycling really wasn't funded at a department level in Eagle, and we worked together to create a funding opportunity, an ongoing funding source for the department that the department then will share through grants, through county planning, through contracts, to further develop recycling in Michigan. So we have funding, and that is very significant. The funding that we helped to win back in 2018 was the most significant ongoing funding effort for Michigan's environment ever. We have had, some bonds, but those bonds are one-shot deals and we have to pay them back. So this was a really important win for the environment in Michigan, and we got a part of that. So that is really important. The next part, the other bucket, is still being worked on, and that is that many stakeholders in Michigan have been a part of an effort to create a policy ideas, policy goals to create the right kind of environment in Michigan to support businesses that are trying to do better, to support local governments that see this as a priority. And so there's a package of 6 bills that would update Michigan's solid waste laws that have been developed over the past several years. It was our hope that actually those bills would be passed by now or by next week, but it is unfortunate that in this time of global pandemic, that we weren't able to accomplish that this year. But the passage of that package of bills is going to be a really important thing for us to continue to move forward and actually accomplish next year, because this package of bill creates a framework on which the growth and development of recycling activities in Michigan can be developed to strategically move us toward that circular economy that we're all working on. So combined, the funding and the renewed policy framework in Michigan works together to create the right kind of environment for businesses and governments to work together to make real change. I would also say that the NextCycle initiative that Matt spoke about is another important framework on which we're going to make real progress. We have a policy framework on which our local governments will begin to make choices about how they are going to manage their materials and what they need to put in place to do that effectively. And the NextCycle framework is going to be an equally powerful framework to make sure that the public and private sector partnerships and investments that are actually going to make and execute that change are going to be able to do that. NextCycle is going to take every single one of us. I think it is the most important, besides the funding we got and the policy change we got, is the most important thing in front of us right now. And I am working with, other NextCycle partners to help all of you and other stakeholders in Michigan see what kind of opportunity it really is for your communities, for your businesses, because if we can really let everybody know what the opportunities are and help them to engage in a meaningful way, then we can bring real solutions to bear that help every one of us accomplish our goals. It's going to take all of us working together to do that, but I am feeling very positive that we will get Part 115 changes passed next year, and that we're putting the other framework in place to be the other frameworks, frankly, in place to make that change, possible. So I invite every single one of you to learn more about what Part 115 means to you and your organizations. More importantly, I invite all of you to look at NextCycle and see what kind of possibilities it holds for your organizations. Those ideas that you've been incubating for years and years, it is time to bring those out and to dress them up and talk about them, build teams around those ideas to take through these challenges, because at the other end of these challenges, we want ideas that have that will move forth and become those shovel-ready projects that we intend to bring funders to the table to help bring to life. So with that, I will turn it back over to Dan, but it is an exciting time around circular economy here in Michigan, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
An incredibly exciting time. Thank you so much, Kerrin, Dominic, Matt, and Bill, and congratulations again, Bill. We have a good bit of time now for questions and answers. I'm going to first pull off one from the chat, and this is directed to Dominic, and from Dana Lowell of Seamless. Is Haworth working on furniture as a service versus personal facility ownership model? It would ensure closed loop and circular economy.
Great question. So I would say we are looking at a variety of options, furniture of a service, whether it's, specific products or workspaces. We're playing with different models. We've actually have a couple pilots going actually globally to understand, the cost benefit trade-offs to the customer and, to ourselves. Obviously, we're in business to make, a profit, and, I guess, how do we say it? We do good to do well to do good, right? We want to do good as an organization to be able to give back. The comment there about the personal facility ownership model, we've studied that. We haven't piloted that, but I think there's some real opportunity there. So I'd say we have more homework to do to really to vet that one out more and understand, what the real long-term opportunity is. I would say that's even more important now as we look at these new work from home models, all these new hybrid working modes that are now in place due to COVID. There's a shift in where everyone's doing work, right? So folks probably won't be in the office as much as they used to be. They're working in a lot of different locations. A lot of it's from home now. So we need to look at some of these different solutions. So the personal ownership or facility ownership would be appropriate, in the future.
And Kerrin also actually had a question for you concerning if Haworth or others in the furniture industry, and I'd invite, I see Jennifer Womack and a few others on the call today who may have some information on this as well. But curious if you're looking at urban lumber and other biomass sources for new wood.
Oh my gosh, so much. I mean, we have a small team looking at a variety of new materials. Biomass is a big one. We're looking for lighter weight solutions. We have, boy, I bet Bill might even know the number better than I do right now, but I think we have 8 to 9 truckloads of work surfaces come in every day, right? And those work surfaces are fairly large and fairly heavy. If we could reduce the thickness of the work surface and still give the durability we want and use a better material that was, more environmentally friendly, that would be a ginormous win for the organization, and for the environment. So we have a variety of products in the lab right now being tested. And I would actually add to Kerrin's comment from before about, circular economy, and there seems to be a lot of interest and excitement around it. Quite honestly, I can say probably over the last 9 to 12 months, we see a lot of our customers doubling down, really investing significantly in sustainable, workplaces, wanting sustainable products. And it's not only from environmentally friendly perspective, it's from health and well-being now more than ever, right? Because of COVID, every company on the planet became a healthcare organization, right? Because there's anxiety going back to the office. So how can they tell the best story possible? And that's everything from, air quality. So the VOCs that are given off from the products to the materiality, the cleanability, and all that kind of stuff.
I've got one, and I don't know if Cindy is still would like to ask this herself, but I'll ask it and I'm going to ask it to everyone, and maybe you'd like to elaborate on this as well. But is it possible for there to be a model in which communities, especially
community buildings? I see the question. Yeah. So
yeah,
the underserved community buildings with furniture and other products in the community.
Yes,
absolutely. Sir. Now we have a couple partners that help us do that, and they work with charities and some small businesses and medium-sized businesses that help provide second life solutions, from our customers, to those entities, and then they get, certain credits and stuff for them. So we actually help facilitate a fair amount of that today.
This is
Al?
Simon. I would
Oh, go
love
ahead.
to be able to invite you to the table to have a conversation with our community. We are definitely looking to move this forward.
Okay. Daniel, you can share my contact information with her, and I'd be more than happy to follow up.
Yeah, we'll be able to help make that happen.
Perfect.
And
Great.
Thank you. And thank you, Carissa.
and I like to present this the same question, but obviously in a different way to Matt and Kerrin. How can the industry and the states, as well as the state specifically, and programs like NextCycle help support under-resourced communities in Michigan?
Yeah, I'll jump in first. So we've been doing recycling grants for a few years now, and then they really ramped up with the Renew Michigan Fund when that was increased. And my experience over the past 5 years has been that the communities and businesses, for that matter, that have access to those funds are the ones that are most ready, and some of them have already been in a position to have staff to get out there and look for funding. They have a grant writer on staff, for example. And what's happened is we've inadvertently, and maybe by design, I would say, created this a disparity, because the money is going to those that are most ready, and that doesn't sit well with me personally. I don't feel good about only supporting communities that are most ready. There's some capacity building that needs to be done, and so that's where NextCycle comes in. As NextCycle, as those teams enter into the space, they will be they're asked for a 3-page proposal, and they will be directed into technical assistance and funding assistance. So I went out to Colorado to see something similar that was done by their environmental agency, and I saw the type of support that I want to see for all businesses and communities, where it's, how do you do an elevator statement? How do you make the pitch? How do you ask for funding? How do you get the data to determine what is actually needed? And so that's one of the things I'm most excited about with this, is giving that capacity building support. Not only just giving out money to go buy the thing, get the carts, but also supporting communities all the way through. I think that's an important piece that's been missing, and we're finding that piece and we're putting it in.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, Dan, I would say that, recycled materials are kind of an underdog, resource. And, that underdog resource is really in every community in this state. And the ideas are not, everybody's got great ideas. Now, NextCycle, I think, is an opportunity to bring those ideas to play, and there's support to move those ideas forward. I think as a culture, we're starting to wake up to the inequities that exist out there, and this program is, aware of them and looking to target those right on. And so I think there will be opportunities where there haven't been opportunities, and it's our job to help people to engage in new ways. And so, I would like to say that, some of the advancements that I think Dominic was talking about in trying to, see what kind of recycled material could be used as work surfaces is the right kind of project to do that with. And then that you can build a team right there in your own community to help people, get the leg up they need to be a part of these solutions. So there's a way we can bring all of this together in NextCycle, because this opportunity has never been in play in Michigan before. And the point I wanted to make that I don't know if I hammered home earlier is that, you know, in the past we were developing these opportunities, and now we are clearly moving on to the execution of these opportunities, which is going to make the state of play in the environment a little different than what it has been in the past. And so it's really important that we all help everybody see what the opportunities are so that they can engage in them in whatever ways they have available.
You, Kerrin, Matt, Dominic. I have a question of my own, and I'm going to direct this to Matt it was actually based on Dominic's presentation. As we try to develop markets in Michigan and engage its manufacturing base in the use of recycled content, especially locally sourced recycled content, because for us to have a circular economy, we want to be able to use the material that we're collecting here. How do you respond from kind of understanding the limitations that global companies have, where they need to create systems that can work across their global footprint, not just within the state of Michigan?
Question. I want to take us back to many conversations that I had with Bill Gurn right after board meetings. And I would ask him, what are your big materials that are our biggest problem? And so much of those materials right there in the manufacturing space were powder paint, you already mentioned, and wood waste. And so we got to work. We've been working on that. We now have some successes to report, especially on the powder paint. For example, we're in the process of entering into a grant agreement with a West Michigan company on a market development grant to address the powder paint issue, it's so nice to say that we've come very far. We're having successes. We're kind of in some ways whacking those moles, like the materials, going material specific. And I'm proud of those successes, and so many of the successes that have come out of West Michigan. And then we have this greater circular economy issue. So it's not just about manufacturing anymore. It's about designing products, designing systems, creating an entire ecosystem where that material can come back. And that's when it gets really difficult, and creating those markets so that so that it's built in, that circularity is built in right at the beginning. And we're not just looking, I think we've seen the shift over the past couple of years of thinking about, okay, how do I get my house in order? I've got this waste, I've got a zero waste goal. Now we're thinking about where those products are going. And so we've got the next paradigm shift is happening right now, where those sustainability goals and working together, creating that entire ecosystem is where what the next is. And I think we'll have those same successes that we've had on those materials.
Thank you, Matt. Bill, Dominic, Kerrin, any further thoughts on that topic?
I think Matt covered it well. You know, it's we can definitely develop local solutions, and it's just figuring out how the infrastructure gets in place to be able to offer those solutions globally, right? So we can support our global, distribution channels, global customers, and leverage the opportunities that are identified and developed here in West Michigan, and how do we roll those out on a broader scale?
Dominic, I think this question goes to you, but others maybe Yoda has some opinions as well. This is coming from Danny McGee, who's with Sustainable Research Group Foresight. And I think you'd read the question here. Embodied energy was mentioned earlier. I'm curious how Haworth incorporates embodied into the design process when designing for a circular economy. Hired embodied energy may actually connotate a more circular product where infrastructure is just for reuse and recycling. And for those who are not familiar with the term embodied energy, I think you may have heard it referred to as life cycle assessments, or other synonyms using the phrase life cycle in the past.
Yeah, I guess there's when I first read the question, I was thinking embodied carbon, and that would be different, I think, than embodied energy. So embodied energy, we do kind of track from, like if we're making a fern task chair, we have a basic calculation of, the amount of energy it creates to, or requires to make that task chair. And we've actually set goals and metrics for, future task chair solutions to be better and more efficient. And again, a small team of folks here went through a variety of studies and exercises and in developing the worksheets and some of the tools I mentioned earlier. We're on a journey right now, and we just started this 6 months ago, on understanding embodied carbon. And I think that's even, we're learning a lot, I guess, on that journey right now, on the different ways to look at the products. To your point, maybe a higher energy level results in a better overall circular design product when you think about all the multiple loops that are involved. So we're learning as we go, and we're trying to do better, as we're on this journey.
Question for Danny: when you said embodied energy, did you mean that as synonymous with embodied carbon? And he suggested he did.
Okay.
We talked a little about Colorado earlier, and this is probably the last question we have here. We have here today. And while I introduce, I want to note that we actually have a pilot project that my colleague Chris is leading up with in the city of Holland, where we're doing a partnership with the city of Longmont, Colorado, to pilot some things that they've advanced there and learn from that community. But John Domas from the Michigan Chemistry Council asks, in what ways are we comparing favorably or not favorably to our peers in other states? And Matt, I think I'll kick that. Matt, Kerrin?
I was going to say Kerrin should talk on this one, and then I'll follow up if there's time.
Well, if you look at the numbers, we are recycling at about 18% rate, and that is close to the lowest in the Great Lakes region, and our kind of national average is about 34%, maybe 33% recycling. So there's a lot of other places that have done better than we have, and a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that other states have invested. Michigan really hasn't invested in a meaningful way in recycling in years, although we're turning that around right now. If I can just really quickly go into the tipping fees question that Dana put out there, a tipping fee was considered for a funding mechanism for the funding that we got in 2018, but was really rejected because increased tipping fees mean higher waste costs, not only for everybody on this call, but for every local government in this state who contracts out for services. So it was a very heavy lift to fund a program based on this. And the funding that we get for this program ends up coming from internet sales tax, which maybe is not so far off a way to fund our programs, because a lot of us are getting our products delivered to our front door right now. So it, I think, is a long shot if our tipping fees get increased over time. And if they do, it's going to be incrementally small and growing. But I will say that Part 115 changes are really important to leveling the playing field. Current solid waste law is predicated on counties being able to assure that they have 5.5 years of disposal capacity. And if they don't have that disposal capacity, then they have to make way for the development of new capacity. Since we've been living under that policy structure for years, we have developed plenty of disposal capacity, which means that it's really hard for recycling and composting to compete with the low cost of disposal. With changes to Part 115, we're eliminating that need to meet that level of disposal capacity, and instead shifting capacity development to recycling and composting so that we can meet the needs of Michigan businesses and manufacturers and frankly, residents who want to recycle, so that we can support that circular economy. So really important that policy and funding and partnership are all working together to assure that we're going in the right direction.
Matt, we're actually going to have to wrap it up there.
That's fine.
Before I turn it back over to Sarah, I'm hopeful everyone might be able to unmute for a minute so we can give a quick round of applause to Bill Gurn.
Go Bill! Yay!
I'd say
Congratulations.
all
Well-deserved.
75 people unmute for just a moment here so we can do Bill up proper.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Yay!
Congratulations,
Bill.
You're muted, Bill. We want to hear you.
Hey sis. Hey Lottie.
Now, can you hear me?
Yep.
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. It was an honor to be chosen. So thank you all, and keep up the good work, will you please?
So much,
In
Bill.
your
And I hope
honor.
don't be a stranger. We'll definitely be in touch here.
Okay.
And now I'll turn it back to our board president, Sarah Chartier.
Thanks, Dan. And once again, congratulations, Bill. We're really excited for you. And this now concludes the end of our formal panel presentation. And thank you all so much for participating. We look forward to seeing you at our next event on January 11th. And thank you so much for attending today. Have a happy holiday. Please be safe, social distance, wear a mask when you're outside your home, and practice good hand hygiene. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dan to talk about the networking session.
Great. And if